Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining, and hopefully William will join us sometime soon. I think most of you are already familiar with Bernie and Zen Peacemakers, but I'll just say a couple of words in introducing Bernie. I feel it's a great privilege to have this time with Bernie. He's the founder of Zen Peacemakers. He's the creator of our street retreats, our bearing witness retreats all over the world. People have been taking these 3 tenets that he articulated to all walks of life and action. We have people who are implementing them in business, in social enterprise, in healthcare, in politics, and one of the reasons we wanted to create these webinars with Bernie is because he has really great passion to teach and see people. And this is a great way for us, especially after his recent medical things that happened this year. This is a great way for us to bring Bernie to more people. So thanks for joining, and I'll just pass it to Bernie. How are you, Bernie?
Hello. Well, we picked up another one. Just around me, we can't see. We see the Peacemaker logo instead of him. And welcome, everybody. The Zen Peacemakers, at this point, there's 900 members. That's quite a few, and with people having all kinds of interests, and we will start connecting some of the people with similar interests. We'll start making linkages for them to speak with each other, share with each other. It's fun for me to see most of you. Some are very familiar, though is if I stutter a little, it's due to my stroke, but I still speak fairly good English. And Monica is a long time, but the one who's been connected with me the longest is Roberto in Italy. What year was that? What year did we meet? The other thing for my stroke, my memory is not so good, but I met Roberto at an interfaith conference held at Auschwitz before we started the Auschwitz retreats. What you remember the year, Roberto?
Yes. Yes, I remember it very well.
What year was it?
We were there because you gave the votes of a peacemaker to Claude Anshin Thomas before his pilgrimage to Vietnam, and there was a ceremony on one of a crematorium.
Yeah. But you remember what year?
94.
94.
Yeah, 2 years before we started the program in Auschwitz.
Yeah. A little while ago. Okay, so how I like to do this, we'll go around, starting with Roberto, and we'll skip me, and we'll go to you. And I'd like you to say who you are, where you live. A few different countries involved here, and then any kind of questions or thoughts that you want to share, we'll go with you. Okay, so start with Roberto.
Thank you. So I'm Roberto from Italy, living in Rome. As you heard, I met Bernie in '94 in Poland, in Auschwitz. When he came in Rome, we had a very, very powerful workshop together, a 2-day workshop. And then in '96, we met again in Auschwitz at the first Bearing Witness retreat. And since then, we cooperated with, at that time, the name was the Peacemaker Circles, the Peacemaker community. So it was a very, very powerful experience, very stressful on one hand, always following Bernie in different cities in all over Europe. I can't come for in the US. That was a big problem. Bernie tried to help me to come to. I can't get the visa for all the political questions here in Italy. And now, after so many years, I'm really happy to be again, let's say, a member of the Peacemakers, and trying to find new connections and also to go deeper in our experiences. The 3 tenets, not knowing is always a big challenge for me. Sometimes I found myself hiding behind this formula, not knowing, but I know what knowing means. You know, this kind of mind trap. And so I would like to ask you, Bernie, and also to share with our friends, this crucial point, this radical change, this radical switch in our life, if we bring it into life when not knowing.
Okay, we'll go through everybody, and then I'll respond. Sir.
Bob Davis.
Bob.
Good morning. I live in Portland, Oregon, USA, and I met you, Bertie, at the Serve the One workshop in Yonkers 4 years ago. And I've been a member of Zen Peacemakers for several years. And I am going to the Auschwitz retreat this November with my wife. And my question about the 3 tenets is similar to Roberto's. How do you leave your knowing part at the door and and become not knowing? Here in Oregon, right now, in parts of the country for sure, is I got back from basically a bearing witness retreat at the Sheridan prison, where there's 123 migrants being held without legal representation. So that was nice. It was good. It was 500 people there. And the other thing that I'm working on is the houseless, homeless situation. And, sure, it's true nationwide, but it's just totally out of control here. More and more people are being forced on the street. So I'd like to use the 3 tenets to do some skillful action. Thank you.
Okay. Dove?
I'm Dove. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States. I guess, Bernie, I met you, I'm not sure what year it was, but you did a conference in Florida for El Chaim. So I met you at that conference. and I guess in some way it changed my life. I went on a street retreat with you in 2000 and in New York, and we just had a street retreat here in Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago, which was led by Josh and Brian from Upaya Center. And I guess in a way, I don't know if I have a question so much, but what I struggle with is spontaneity. Like, where is sometimes like where is the spontaneity in some of the retreats or in some of the actions? I feel like sometimes there's a formula for let's say a street retreat, and I keep wanting to step away from the formula, and it's hard sometimes. It's hard. So and I struggled with the same thing within Jewish Renewal, stepping away from the formula of where's the, for me it's like, where's the spontaneity? How can I let go of the knowing and the unknowing and really not know? Which I guess is sort of what the two gentlemen before me sort of alluded to. So yeah, that's that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Sir, Pat.
Okay, I'm from Racine, Wisconsin, USA. And I can't say I have met you, Bernie. I was on the Auschwitz retreat, I think it was 2015. And you were there, so I saw you from a distance. I have not had any workshops or any instruction at all on the three tenets. I'm not even going to try to say what they are, although I did know at one time. And I don't have any specific questions, but I'm very, very interested in the questions that have been brought up. So that's it.
Monica?
I just struggled a bit with tears to see you finally so closely. It's so amazing to have these technical tools to be invited in your place, and I'm so grateful for this. And when you asked me about when was the first contact, then I think it was in 2007. In 2007. I used to give workshops, writing workshops in a Buddhist place close to Bonn. I'm from Bonn, Germany. And there I found your book, Bearing Witness at Auschwitz. So I met you as a writer. This was my first contact with you. And your book struck me, what do you say, so strongly that from that time I kind of prayed lonely. I'm also a bit lonely sometimes and doing the things on my own. And then the last pages were about your interpretation of the vows and of the precepts, and so I found it was the best thing I ever heard, so to speak, in a way. And then when I met the Dalai Lama in 2009 and saw you and heard you talking on the stage about but who will hear our message, the people in the streets, for example, and then I was done. I knew I had to register for Auschwitz. So in 2010, then I would show up. I would show up for the first time and would follow 5 times to Auschwitz. And then I kind of stepped a little bit back because I felt I had to digest something. And then I concentrated on Zen studying with Genjo Marinello. And then I kind of found back again very strongly to I have a Zen heart, a very strong Zen heart too, but I have also a Zen Peacemaker heart, which is going perfectly together, I think, by the 3 tenets. And I recently, as you perhaps remember, I gave my Sangha which is still in baby shoes in a way, a new name to honor you. It is not knowing Sangha, and not knowing is kind of the biggest also for me. And sometimes I seem to have a notion. It reminds me of Mu, and it's when I get this flavor, I think, oh wow, perhaps he's thinking of it is this. So I feel a closeness which I cannot fabricate. It is not to be done in a way. So I'm very interested in this, very interested in this. And to word a question, this morning I read something about a guy who wrote about, I think indirectly about your president. And he said, it is about spitting into a meal. And the metaphor was that perhaps your president or people like him would spit into a meal, and then he wanted to take part into the meal. He wanted to be fed. And the author was asking, but this cannot be done. If somebody spits into a meal, you would not have him in the table. And then the whole day, I had much to do, but the whole day I was thinking, what would Bernie say to this meal? To this meal you would exclude a person from. What would Buddha say? And this is my question.
Sir.
I guess it's me.
Down.
Yes. Monica, you're hard to follow. That was wonderful to hear your words there. Bernie, I'm meeting you virtually for the first time. Although similarly, I feel that you've been an idea in my mind for about 10 years or so. After my Zen teacher nudged me in your direction. So I'm in the UK, I'm in Cornwall in England. And I think really the three tenets have kind of lived a life in me through, I'm a psychotherapist, and I've kind of informally kind of taught some Zen in more medical kind of surroundings, really. And I think I've been interested in not knowing, if you can be interested in not knowing for some years now, through psychoanalytic routes and through Zen, and particularly interested in Morita as well, which is a Japanese approach that I think quite skillfully approaches kind of therapy in a wide sense, in a kind of ecological sense, but through a Zen lens. So I don't know what my question is. I guess what's on my mind is something about the connective thread between the three tenets. In fact, I was rereading some Morita this morning, and through Peg Levine, who's a really good writer about Morita, and she was drawing the distinction that's often missed between a kind of very Western approach, which is about acceptance, and a lot of ideas around Zen, or even around maybe bearing witness to our mind, or again in a wide sense, not just beyond the personal, often gets gathered into notions of acceptance. And I think what Peg Levine was hinting at was something about responding, which isn't quite the same as acceptance. It's about maybe not knowing and bearing witness and then responding. But I wonder how that, I guess having not been involved in the Zen Peacemakers so much, I'm wondering how the movement between the three tenets has unfolded in your lives. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. You.
Kandra, go ahead.
Hello? Hi.
Hi, Kandra. Yes, we can hear you. If you could just say your name and maybe where you're from, and a question to the group, and Bernie will then pick it up from there.
I'm Venerable Gawa Khandro from the Gawaling Buddhist Center in Canada. And the questions have been fascinating. And for every one of them, I think, I don't know, I hope Bernie will address this, but I think if you're not in judgment mind, I'm thinking particularly of the spitting into the meal. If you realize that unhappy people behave badly, and that if someone's behaving badly, it's because they're not working from their best self, and they're not using the 3 tenets to help guide their actions and inform where they put their attention. I don't know. I don't think I have a question. I'm just so interested in how everybody is approaching the topic. I made a note here. I think someone talked about leaving self at the door, or leaving not knowing, or leaving knowing at the door. Was that right? Bob?
Yes.
Yes. That one really fascinates me too. I don't know, perhaps because I'm a Buddhist monk. That's been part of my practice for a long time. It interests me what other people think about that. How are they holding that question? How are they carrying it? And how are they asking it in the moments of their lives rather than on a video conference? Like, how do you carry that question and work from it in your day-to-day life? How are you aware that you are bringing knowing? And yeah, I'm really mostly interested to hear what other people have to say.
Okay.
Great. So Bernie, I wonder, would you benefit if I give a little recap of what I heard, the questions?
Sure.
Because there were, I think, 3 main questions, and they're all really important and interesting. So thanks, everybody. So, the first question that came up, and Venerable Khandro just touched on it, was how do you let go of the formula? How do you let go of the knowing? But how do you make it relevant moment by moment, and not make not knowing another formula, in a way?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one question. The other question I heard Dan ask is, what is the place of responding and action in the 3 tenets?
I say it again.
Where is the response in the 3 tenets? He was talking about how often bearing witness is equated to acceptance and accepting circumstances. And where's the action? So that's the second question. And the third question I heard is, when we meet people who spit into the big meal, what do we do with them? And what do we do with their spit? Right? We probably don't want to eat that. We don't want to serve that to other people. We want to get them away from the table. So those were the main themes that I heard. So I'm curious, Bernie, just pick up whatever is coming up for you around them.
Okay, what were you talking about?
Just great questions, Bernie.
Huh?
Just wonderful questions for you.
Just everybody, so you know, next to Bernie is Ray Cook. She is one of our staff. She's Bernie's personal caregiver.
Here is Ray Cook.
Hi, everyone. Good to have you.
My nurse.
Yeah, we're all very much indebted to Ray. She takes care of Bernie very closely. Thank you, Ray.
Sure.
So, just a little background. I've been practicing Zen for 60 years. When which means that I am older than 60. My birthday coming up will be my 80th. So I've been around. And recently we checked, and I started to use the term 3 tenets about 30 years ago. And I'm not sure if I put it out as tenet, but I started to use those 3 tenets. I mention it only because it sort of amazes me how time flies. Now, actually, the 3 tenets came to me, from my Zen practice. And but it's a different terminology than what I use in my Zen practice. In the Zen world, sort of the goal is to get to this place of not knowing. Something comes to sort of late in life, in Zen life. I decided to use not knowing in the beginning. Now, not knowing, it's in a sense, it's very simple. It's not being attacked to anything, not being attacked to there's no truth. Everything is just as it is. If I say is this, then that's not knowing. If I think I know something, that's not it. Now, we like to know things, and so we search for some deep meaning. And I put at the beginning of the practice not knowing. Whatever you are attacked, let it go. You've heard that language in different ways. Kill yourself. Don't be attached to anything. Simply don't know anything. There's no truth. We like to learn the truth. I think there is no truth. It's just what it is. As soon as I give it a name, I give it a concept, I miss the thing itself. So in that experience in Zen is considered very deep, and it's you practice it years and years and years, and somebody comes to me and says, "This is what I know." I say, "Don't know anything. What do you mean no? Big deal, you know. This is what you say when you say I know. This is my attachment. This is the things that I'm sticking to. can you, if you let go of all that, what's left? This is left. So what's the big deal? If everybody has this, no, but I have a special this. Try to have not knowing as your guideline. Now, it doesn't mean be ignorant. It means not being attached to anything and not having anything as the truth. So does that mean if there's no truth, I can't discuss things? No, sure. I can have opinions. Shakyamuni Buddha had something that many people call the Four Noble Truths. If you check the dictionary, he was in Pali or Sanskrit, one of those languages. You find that in Pali, there is no word for truth. That is, so the Four Noble Truths put you in the wrong track. It's Four Noble Opinions. We all have opinions, and some opinions we think are true. That's the problem. Because some opinions we think are the true way, the true religion, the true politics, the true this and that, true that, we go to war over that. If we could take that it is an opinion, and only an opinion, no truth about it, no, my truth, my opinion is now holier than your opinion. We can discuss opinions. We can share opinions. If we're living in that kind of world, Dove could say, Judaism is a correct opinion. It's not correct. It's an opinion. But I would say that Zen is a correct opinion. And not, it's not correct. It's an opinion. It's my opinion. So now we discuss. And I could discuss from Zen and Zen way or Judaic way. We have wonderful discussions that come out of all kinds of new opinions because we have a broader perspective. We're not stuck to one opinion. When I wrote the three tenets, first wrote those two, I said, if I could lead my life that way, what way? Based on not knowing and bearing witness. Bearing witness is be what's happening. It's be a witness to it. If I can do that, then the action that arises on me, that is an action that arises out of not knowing and bearing witness. We would have no war. We would have disagreement, sure. And we could have lots of opinions. But the actions would not come out of premeditated actions. They would not come out of some rule book that says, here's what you should do, and therefore here's how the action should be. And that person says, oh no, here's what you should do, and therefore the action should be. And since there are different actions, let's fight. So the three tenets are: one, be totally open. Totally open. The state of not knowing. Then bear witness. Really bear witness to what is going on. And third, follow the actions that arise out of that. There are processes to get deeper into those three tenets. Just to say it, that's not good enough. But there are practices. Now, because the whole way is sort of simple, for these last 30 years, a lot of people have taken it up and say, hey, this is simple. Okay, good. Well, let's do simple. I agree. I share, my agree doesn't mean too much, but I share your opinion. And that's how I lead my life. And my life becomes fairly simple. I see what's coming up. I don't fight what's coming up. It's coming up, man. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's what's coming up. I'm ready to discuss it, let's share it. And I've been doing that for 30 years. That's, and I offer, I wish to share that with you. Right now, there's about 900 members of the Zen Peacemakers. If all those 900 were to share this way of living, we would have I think, what would we have? We would have 900 people sharing this way of life. That's all.
Thanks, Bernie. Beautiful. So let's just open this up. Bernie said, laid out three tenets in front of us. I think I heard him answer some of these questions or address them. So let's just maybe sit in take a moment and just see what comes up, and just raise your hand if you want to continue, ask a question, just make a comment.
I just have to say again, this is how good it is to me to be able to share again with Roberto. We shared a lot, not just in Rome, throughout Italy, and Roberto comes from a tradition that is not so open as three tenets, and because of that, he can't come visit us in the United States. He's been involved in a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that had Well, a lot of stuff.
So thanks. I saw Bob raising his hand. So go ahead, Bob.
I was struck by if a person spits in the meal. I would say we all spit in the meal all the time because in my opinion, we all have these opinions we think are right, so we spit them in the soup. And so we can't exclude anyone, because when you exclude, you're saying from a Zen point of view, they do not have a Buddha nature. And I don't accept that. Even, I hate to call him my president, in my opinion, but he is the president of the United States. He's spitting in everybody's soup, and we're spitting back, but we're all going to have to consume it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Bob, in my opinion, there is no way we can exclude anything. They're all there. They're all in here somewhere. As much as I would like to say there is no Trump in me, it doesn't work. There is even. So my question is, how do I deal with that aspect of me? You know, it's simple. I just went through a year of dealing with cancer. We all have some amount of cancer. You can't say, I don't want any cancer. I don't want that. Oh, you don't want that. Everybody has a little bit. And sometimes it explodes and we have more. How are we going to deal with it? And cancer is not just a molecular thing. How do we deal with the cancer that's floating all around? I've had 2 years. I had a stroke. I'm the same stroke. A friend of mine, Ram Dass, many of you know, heard of Ram Dass, had the same stroke. He still is paralyzed. He had the stroke about 20 years ago, if I remember right. My memory is. So he has to deal with it in his way. And he does. My caretaker today told me that she was told that she just graduated in yoga, and the yoga teacher told her that she has a bhakti yoga. If you know bhakti, Ram Dass is a combination of bhakti and karma. Karma is social action. And, well, so he's still dealing with bhakti, and he's dealing with his kind of yoga. From if you meet him, he can't talk like this. He talk. It's that. And his whole right side is paralyzed. So he's dealing with it all. in his way. We can't say he's handicapped. He's not. It's beautiful what he does. But it's his way of dealing with it. And this is my way of dealing with it. I'm quite different than I was a couple of years ago. But I still am dealing with it in the way I deal with it. So, but it's, I think, important to not say, try to exclude stuff, but to say, how do I work with these ingredients? You know, even when you cook, there are all kinds of ingredients. Some of those ingredients by themselves are pretty bitter or pretty acid, but there are ingredients. How do you cook with them? And if you happen to be Italian, you are a little better cook in my mind than me. Yeah. You know, it says Barbara, but you go by Condro. What do people call you?
Annie or Venerable?
Huh?
Venerable Gawa? Venerable is fine.
Okay.
There's a wonderful teaching. I'm thinking again about the soup spitter. And I love Bob's comment that we're all spitting in the soup one way or another. The minute you tighten yourself around an opinion, you're just collecting saliva.
Yeah.
And the trick is when somebody, you find behavior or attitudes or ideas or opinions or prejudices abhorrent, rather than going into resistance and getting tight around your own opinions, because that's what's happening, you can sort of sit back and soften your opinionated mind and just say, well, this is here to teach me something. And I think that's the core of not knowing. I don't know why this person behaves this way. I don't even know why I'm resistant to it. But there's a juicy moment here where I can learn something I don't know. It can be as simple as don't tighten your heart around your own opinions. Is that how? I'm really a little foggy on the concept of not knowing, except that I'm quite clear that I don't know anything, because the minute I think I know, I have an opinion and my heart has tightened and closed around that opinion, which makes me here and everybody else out there.
Right. Right.
And thank you, Bernie. This is just such a gift.
Yeah.
Such a gift. Thank you so much for your time and your knowledge and your kindness.
Okay.
You know, Bernie, I have a comment and maybe a question in there. First of all, I know we have about 8 more minutes. How are you doing now? How do you feel? Just your energy.
I'm ready to stop. That was a good place to stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your questions, your participation. Thanks, Bernie, for spending the time with us. Any questions or any more comments, or all of these conversations can continue in Bernie's room on the membership platform. I often repeat some of the subjects that come up, so please feel free to pick any of these comments and topics up and continue it there. And we plan to do more of these. We may take a break during August, but we'll like to pick it up again in September. So again, thank you so much, and also thank you for those of you who contributed in Dana toward this, helping us to just support the technology and being able to support Bernie and what we do. So thank you so much. And have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to unmute everybody right now so you can say goodbye too. There.
Thanks to Bernie and thanks to Rami too, and everybody else.
Thanks, Pat.
Oh, goes to anybody and also to the nurse and to Stanley and to Eve. Thank you very much, Bernie and Rami and all.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
You take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.